Hello, you probably don't understand a word I'm saying.
Of course I understand you.
Huh?
Dad? Dad? Grandpa? I'm a grandpa.
On this edition of Talking About the Movies, we're entering a strange world as we look at Disney's latest animated feature. Welcome to another edition of Talking About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at Disney's 61st animated feature from Walt Disney Animation Studios, and that is Strange World. Now, as of the time I'm recording this, the movie is unfortunately not doing well at the box office. It's expected to have a 5-day opening of under $20 million, which is not very good, especially for a Disney movie opening on Thanksgiving. But, it doesn't help when you don't really promote the film all that much. That's been one of the more notorious things about this particular movie, is that Bob Chapek, who was the head of Disney a week ago, didn't even bother to promote this movie. There was very little promos for this movie anywhere. They didn't start promoting it until the 11th hour. They didn't start showing it on any of the major networks until very late on. If the most I'm seeing a promo for Strange World is on episodes of King of the Hill and The Simpsons on FXX up until last week, that's not a very good sign. And I don't know. Judging by the fact that Bob Iger came back last Sunday, I think regardless of if he came back then or not, he would have come back eventually, because this probably would have been the straw that broke the camel's back for Bob Chapek's time at Disney. But I will say this: if you weren't upset about Bob Chapek not doing his job and promoting this movie very well, especially after the stuff he said about Disney Animation, I'm really gonna hate him now, because I really enjoyed this movie. I was very surprised, honestly, because I saw the original trailers for this, the first one they had during Lightyear, and I thought it looked kind of cool. I thought it looked like it had a nice little spin on pulp magazines and retro science fiction movies, all that type of stuff. And then the reviews came out, and they were not very good, especially compared to stuff like the Frozen movies and Kanto, those movies getting acclaimed by critics and audiences. And the reception I kept hearing from all the people that I talked to online and look at online was that the movie was not very good. And I lowered my expectations going into this movie, and I was waiting for the moment where everyone's thoughts on the film were starting to come into place, the moment where the movie turned bad and everything. And it never really came for me. It really never came for me. And I was really hooked into it right away. Like, the opening song of the movie, where they're talking about the Quaid family, Yeager, played by Dennis Quaid, and Searcher, played by Jake Gyllenhaal, they have this song in the beginning of the movie that's really damn catchy. And once the movie started with that, it was just like, okay, I'm already hooked into this adventure. And the movie really is very entertaining. I really had a wonderful time watching this movie. I really liked hanging out with these characters. I thought they were very good. I thought they were very well casted. I mean, Dennis Quaid playing Yeager was brilliant casting. You could tell that he's having the time of his life playing this role. And he has a lot of the real funny moments in the movie. He's given a really solid performance. Jake Gyllenhaal is great also as Searcher. Of course, this is the second time they've collaborated as father and son. The first time being The Day After Tomorrow, but needless to say, this is a much better movie than that. You've got, I'm probably going to butcher this name, Jabuki Young White playing the son of Searcher, which I really like the way that one of the big things to criticize Disney a lot of is the fact that every time a new movie comes out, they have to boast about having the first gay character in the movie, and the first gay character in a Pixar movie, first gay character in a Marvel movie. And it's just like, is it playing into anything going on in the story? No. But in this movie, it actually kind of does. It's not a big part of the story, but I did like that they did try to do more with it. Like, his son has a crush on another guy in this movie, and it's not really a big deal. I mean, I like that they don't make a big deal out of it, and it just feels like a straightforward, normal conversation. I mean, even when Yeager, his grandfather, talks to him about it, he doesn't even flinch an eye at it. He's just kind of like, okay, well, let me show you how you get him. And it's just like, you know what, that's cool. That's cool that they're actually doing that. And it actually makes sense in this particular movie to do something like that. And it's unlike the other movies where they keep promoting these gay characters and they only have one scene where they have to have something like that, or it's just talked about in like a line or so. Like, hey, I got to get back to my girlfriend or something like that. If a female's talking about it, it's just like in here. I actually do like how they were able to work around it, and it makes for like I said, it adds to these characters a whole lot. Like they have great moments where they have to talk to each other. They have to have their quiet time to really understand each other, especially Gyllenhaal and Quaid, which I like Quaid's design. I like he pretty much looks like a buffed up Geppetto kind of when he shaves off all the hair that he has. And also we got Gabrielle Union and Lucy Liu in here playing some good roles in here. The world they create here is really impressive to look at. It's a nice, visually pleasing looking setup. They give this world kind of an orange and white color palette to contrast with the titular Strange World title, and the filmmakers also went with a little bit of red and magenta, and it definitely shows on screen here. It actually allows for a lot of really creative and really fun animation all around. And I like the whole concept this movie plays itself out as. Like, this whole world that everybody's on is basically part of an actual person, or I guess I won't give away too much more of it, but it makes sense if you watch it to the end of the movie. I also like that the movie doesn't go with the typical tropes in these type of movies. You don't have the liar reveal, you don't have the third act breakup, and even when you do have a little bit of it, it's only for like a couple of seconds. And I like that it even plays around with a lot of the Disney twists. Like, in the beginning, you think that it's another one of those movies where the mother is dead or the parent is dead or something like that. No, the mother just divorced Dennis Quaid's character, and she found love, but mostly because she thought she was dead. She thought he was dead. I mean, he's been gone for 25 years, and all of a sudden, you see why it kind of makes sense, and it actually is pretty fun to watch. Like, it leads to a lot of pretty good, funny moments in here. I like that they didn't have a villain in this movie. There's no third act twist villain that these recent Disney movies have been notoriously known to have. The music overall is amazing. Henry Jackman has always been a great composer, but this is probably some of his strongest works. There's even parts of the score towards the end of the movie where it feels like he's trying to mimic 2001: A Space Odyssey in a good way, and it actually makes for some of the best music of the film. Like, the music overall in this movie is absolutely incredible. This is a movie that really, really surprised me and how much I really enjoyed it. I like some of the character designs too. I like the fact that the dog in this movie is a three-legged dog, and you don't usually see that in animated movies. If there's something I have to complain about, I will say, though, the story is a little bit too predictable for its own good. You can kind of figure out where it's going to go, but I do like the little twists and turns they throw in at the end of the movie. And like I said, I do like that they don't have a big villain twist that really could have hurt the film, because that's what hurt Lightyear earlier this year, the way they handled Zurg. There's also another character in there that just kind of feels like he's just forced in there because Disney wants to try to sell toys off of it, which, considering what's happened to it, and the fact that they hardly promoted the movie until the last minute, that's probably something that's not even a word about. But it's funny how even the movie itself completely admits that this character is just there to be marketable, to be sold as a toy, and it's kind of humorous to me. And, he kind of reminds me of that little creature that was in Treasure Planet, which it's kind of a good point to bring up with this particular movie, because this movie is not going to do well at the box office, at least for right now, because there's not really much of a big family film coming out over Christmas, and it's until Christmas comes around. I think this movie's going to have a cult following in the same vein of something like Atlantis: The Lost Empire or Treasure Planet. These movies that weren't given the proper reception at the time, but in the years since they've come out, they've actually turned out to be pretty good movies that everybody remembers, movies that everybody looks at and goes, hey, you know what, that movie was actually pretty good. I think this movie is going to have that same kind of a feeling to it. I think this movie definitely has a lot of things about it that will have longevity to it in the years to come. I think it's a shame that Disney, who is usually very good at promoting movies and putting out these brilliant marketing campaigns, like, say what you will about some of the live action Disney movies they've done, they do a good job of putting trailers out there that make you want to go see those movies. Like The Little Mermaid, for example, had that great trailer that came out a couple months ago. And, I mean, I gotta give them credit, though. They know how to put butts in seats, even if the movie doesn't end up being very good. I mean, Lightyear had a great campaign, and look what happened there. It's a movie that completely was a big disappointment overall. in a way, this movie did but promise everybody what Lightyear couldn't do. Like, Lightyear promised people that it was going to be a movie that was going to be the movie that Andy saw in 1995 that made him want a Buzz Lightyear toy so much, and nothing about that movie was 1995-ish at all. This movie promised people a movie that was going to be something out of the 1940 sci-fi movie, a pulp movie type of thing, and it delivers on that. It delivers everything that it wants to do. Like I said before, the story is very predictable. In a way, it's kind of a little bit reminiscent of something like Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs 2, and even something like Avatar, where they're trying to they're trying to stop this. What's the word I want to say here? Where they think they're trying to stop a problem, but it turns out the real problem is the people that come in there. Except in this case, there's no bad guy in this one compared to those other two movies. But yeah, I really enjoyed this movie a lot. I was really surprised at how much I enjoyed it, because, like I said, I did lower my expectations after seeing the early word of mouth on it. But I'm glad I saw it in theaters, because I really do think it's a wonderfully made movie. It's probably one of my not just one of my favorite animated movies of the year. It's probably one of the best movies I've seen this year. I mean, nothing is going to top something like Turning Red or some of the other animated movies that we've looked at this year that I think are much better. Like, I'll say it's okay, maybe a little bit better than stuff like movies I really like, Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe, the Bob's Burgers movie, which are two great movies that will more than likely be in my top 10 list, mostly because I won't be able to see a lot of the Oscar contenders until 2023, and I usually try to do my list before then. But this movie definitely is going to be right up there among some of my favorite movies of the year. I really had a wonderful time with it. Oh, excuse me. But yeah, I would give the movie a strong thumbs up. I would say definitely go and see this movie if you want to see a good, fun, old-fashioned Disney animated adventure, because you definitely get it here. The music is great. The visuals are impressive. The animation is great. There's a lot of good humor. The characters are a ton of fun. It's just a great adventure film. It's a great, fun, old-fashioned Disney animated adventure film that is not going to get the proper attention it deserves right now, but it's definitely going to find an audience over time. It's going to have a cult following, and I can guarantee that's going to happen. I really enjoyed this movie a whole lot. It's one of my favorite movies of the year so far. If you haven't seen it yet, please go out and support this movie, because you will not be disappointed by it at all if you go into it with the right mindset. It's a great film. I had a wonderful time with it. Strange World, definitely go check it out. So, thank you for watching this, and if you want to see more of these videos, subscribe to the channel, and also follow my links, and tell me what you thought of this movie if you saw it already. So, thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next time, and until then, as always, take care.